through my bones. How could I be fooled by you? Feeling, breathing, breathing like the moon. Time with that pen, I'm sorting your mind. 'Cause I don't really know and I don't really care, and I know pretty sure that this is always just a lie. Ooh, how you kick me right through my bones. Right through my bones. Oh, well, I've seen her break a man. Yeah, and I've seen her pick him up again. Yeah, she's untethered. She got no reins. You can try to control her, but she's beyond your ways. Yeah, well, she's love. She can't be tamed. She's love. She can't be tamed. You can try to bring her down, you only get kind of game. You can try to control her, but it's futile to try. She'll set your soul on fire and make you wanna die. Yeah, well, she'll hold you and then she'll use you. Yeah, she'll consume you and abuse you. Yeah, well, she's love. She can't be tamed. She's love. She can't be tamed. You can try to bring her down, you only get caught again. Hey, baby, don't you know I tried so hard to let her go? The more I try, the more I fail. Guess I can't escape this jail. She's love, and I wish I could tame her. Give her a shove, 'cause I truly hate her. You can try to bring her down, you only get kind of game.
All right. Good morning. Hello. Welcome to Nightly News this morning. I am your host, Cousin Matt. As always, we're here to look at the news. So today is January 9th, 2026. It's Friday. And some crazy shit's been happening, man. Like, just even since our last episode. And this is why I took a break. Because I knew, with the way that things are in the world right now, that this year was just going to be like a fucking roller coaster. And so I was like, I need a little bit of a break. I need a month and a half off before like I spend all of my time just reading about all of the terrible things that are happening in the world. Cow Bats Boots in the chat. That is definitely what's up, motherfucker. Good to see you, man. Yeah, so I took a break, but we're back here. We're going to be doing it, unless something comes up, we're going to be doing it every Tuesday and Friday. I'm trying to do it as early in the morning as I can. I know I got people in different time zones that like to watch and things like that, but I also got to sleep. You know, I work at night, and I get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to do these shows, even though it's like 8:30 right now my time, but I've got to do all of the programming and everything like that. So anyway, with that being said, I did want to point out before we get into our stories, I know I said it last week, and I went over it, but we do have a Patreon now. We're working on Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all of those other things, so you can donate to the show and be a part of it. It's patreon.com/nightly news this morning. There are 4 different tiers, anywhere from $3 to $29 a month, and helps you be included in the show. Makes you feel like you become part of my part of my show in that sense. So you can check it out. You don't need to donate, but it is greatly appreciated if you know what I'm saying. So yeah. So with that, I think we're gonna jump into our 4 stories that I have picked out for today, and see what's going on. So I did want to start with a little bit of good news for story number 1. So story number 1 says the House passes a 3-year ACA subsidy extension with 17 Republicans voting in favor. I don't want to get people's hopes up because sorry, that was my AI tracking on my camera. That's great. That's just perfect. That fucked things up. Yeah, give me just a second. Sorry. All right, so I just realized I spend a lot of time like meticulously getting my camera placed and getting the show all ready and everything, and holding up my hand like that really screwed things up. So give me just a second to try to place things back where they're supposed to go so that things don't look so terrible here. That wasn't supposed to happen. So I'm gonna try to do a better job of not letting that happen in the future. Sorry, you can see some behind the scenes how the sausage gets made here. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This is so embarrassing. I'm like, I'm a professional. I can do this better than some of these other people. Apparently I'm not. Apparently I'm not. So, anyway, I think that'll work for now. We'll call that good. So yeah, we're gonna get into some news stories here, and we're gonna see what's going on in the world. Yeah, damn it, AI. Cherish Third Eye, good to see you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for dealing with my little screw up there. So technology is a bane. That's right. Well, I've got this really great camera that my girlfriend got me for Christmas. Better definition than I used to have and everything like that. But she got the nicer version with the AI tracking, and when you hold your hand up and you make that stop sign with your hand, that's the signal for the AI camera to turn tracking on or off. So I've got to be careful about that while I'm doing the show from now on. So all right, with that being said, now that everything's all kind of janky and wonky here, let's get into story number 1. So House passes a 3-year ACA subsidy extension with 17 Republicans voting in favor. We have a biased distribution. 46% is coming from the center, 36% from the left, and 18% from the right. So you have more left-leaning reporting on this than right-leaning. And like I said before, things kind of screwed up there. I don't want anybody to get their hopes up about this because this hasn't gone to the Senate yet. And even if it does go to the Senate and pass, it still has to be signed by the president. So it is very cool. It is very cool for the camera, for if you have other uses for it. So we have quite a few articles reporting. I believe that the article that I pulled is from BBC. It does say it's behind a paywall, but sometimes with the Brave browser, you can get around that, or it just doesn't make you pay, or sometimes ground news is incorrect. So let's go ahead and read the story from the BBC, which is weird. You've got a British journalism reporting on American politics. So a handful of renegade Republicans in the House of Representatives have joined all Democrats to pass a bill that would extend the healthcare subsidies for millions of Americans. 17 moderate Republicans defied party leadership to help approve the measure by 230 to 116. But the legislation could face an uphill battle in the Senate, you don't say. House Speaker Mike Johnson had opposed a renewal of the pandemic-era tax credits, arguing that they are rife with fraud, but some of his rank and file crossed the aisle to force a vote. Insurance premiums through the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, have more than doubled for some 20 million Americans since the subsidies expired at the end of last year, including people in the house that I live in. The measures passed on Thursday would extend the COVID-era subsidies for another 3 years. Centrist Republicans have said that they would rather support some kind of extension than do nothing at all. About 24 million Americans buy healthcare through the ACA marketplace, and the majority were used to receiving tax credits to lower the monthly price. Those tax credits, also referred to as subsidies, were first introduced through former President Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act in 2014. They were then expanded during COVID. The bill's passage is a setback to the House Republican leadership, which controls the lower chamber of Congress by a narrow majority. The vote was forced when 4 members of the Republican rank and file defected last month to support a procedural tactic known as a discharge petition, which we learned about on this show, thanks to Jeffrey Epstein. The House measure does not have to be brought up in the Senate, which has already rejected it. Even if the legislation was brought back to the upper chamber of Congress, it does not currently have the 60 votes it needs to pass. Senators have said they are working on their own bipartisan compromise, the text of which should be available next week. Though the House vote was largely symbolic, it places lawmakers on record ahead of this November's midterm election when healthcare and affordability are likely to be hot campaign issues. That's right. That's right, because it's midterms this year, and we don't want to forget that. So, yeah, I don't see the Affordable Care Act subsidies being extended at all. With the people that we have in power right now have vested interests against it. So I like to see Republicans breaking rank and file and voting for the people and hopefully keeping their jobs when it comes to their vote in November. But I don't know. I mean, I want to be optimistic. I'll leave it at that. Got my Juneberry Red Bull, not a sponsor, tubes, because it is a day that ends in Y. All right. Are we ready for story number 2? Oh, man. I woke up, well, I think I saw it last night when I was getting the studio set up. And I was like, let me jump on Ground News and see what we got going on. Wasn't great looking, tubes. Wasn't great looking. All right. Story number 2. Border Patrol agents shoot 2 people in Portland day after ICE agent kills Minneapolis woman. Okay, so I'm sure that everybody heard about ICE shooting a woman in her car in Minneapolis, which I didn't cover. I don't think it happened, I think the day after Tuesday's episode. Probably happened on Wednesday because this happened yesterday. And yeah, so I didn't even cover that because there's so many people covering it. There's so much information. I figure everybody already knows. But the very next day, yesterday, Border Patrol agents in Portland, which there's no fucking border in Portland. There is no international border anywhere close to Portland. There is a state border with Washington, but the border with Canada is up on the northern side of Washington, and the border with Mexico is down in California. So what are Border Patrol agents doing in Portland? I mean, I guess there's Portland International Airport, but this isn't where they were. This is not where they were. All right, so bias distribution has 56% of the stories coming from the center, 25% for the left, 19% from the right. So it's not necessarily a blind spot, but I'm pretty sure that the right is going to care less about this than the left. Just something tells me. Sorted by factuality, my top story comes from CNN. That's what I have pulled. People may think that that's biased one way or the other, but you bordered the crab people. How'd you know? This story does make absolutely no sense. So let's get into it. Oregon authorities are investigating a shooting by Border Patrol agents in Portland that wounded 2 people federal authorities alleged are tied to a violent international gang, an incident that renewed question about the Trump administration's handling of its immigration crackdown in the city and across the U.S. Border Patrol agents on Thursday were conducting a targeted vehicle stop around 2:19 p.m. Portland time, Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said. The passenger of the vehicle and target is a Venezuelan illegal alien associated with the transnational Tren de Aragua prostitution ring and involved in a recent shooting in Portland. McLaughlin said the driver is believed to be a member of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. I don't okay, I want to stop right here before I get further into this. I'm from Portland. I lived in Portland as little as a year and a half ago. I spend a lot of time in Portland because it's the city I was born in and the city that I've spent the most amount of time in. It's only about an hour and a half drive from where I live. I cannot remember any problem with Tren de Aragua in Portland, but maybe things have changed in the last year and a half that I haven't been there. I don't know. Probably not. The notorious Venezuelan gang President Donald Trump has targeted amid accusations of drug trafficking, murder, and other violence. Details about why federal authorities believe the two are linked to Tren de Aragua were not immediately released because they still have to figure that out. They still have to. They still have to. Yeah. They still have to manufacture that. When Border Patrol agents identified themselves to the occupants in the car, the driver weaponized his vehicle and attempted to run over law enforcement agents. McLaughlin said. Fearing for his life and safety, the agent fired a defensive shot, she said. The driver drove off with the passenger, fleeing the scene. The car's occupants, who were later taken to the hospital after local police responding to calls found them, are a married couple, a senior law enforcement source said. The husband in the car was shot in the arm, and the wife was in the chest, the source said. Their conditions are not immediately clear, though we can imagine probably that the wife is in worse shape than the husband, I would say. No agents were injured in the shooting. Oh, well, thank God. A federal law enforcement source told CNN. Thursday's shooting in Portland highlighted tensions a day after Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent fatally shot a woman in Minneapolis, prompting protests nationwide. After Wednesday's killing, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey told agents to get the fuck out of his city. After the Portland shooting, Oregon State Senator Casey Jama took a similar tone, telling ICE agents to get the hell out of our community. Adventist Hospital. Oh, check that out. So it was right near where I was born, because that's the hospital I was born in. Or maybe that's just where they're responding to. So Portland Police Chief Bob Day said local officers weren't involved in the incident, but responded to reports of a shooting involving federal agents just after 2:15 p.m. Thursday. Minutes later, police received a call from a different location from a man who said he'd been shot by federal officers and was requesting help, according to Day and dispatch audio. When officers arrived, they found a man and woman with gunshot wounds, and emergency responders transported them to a hospital, Day said. The chief said his department didn't know if the vehicle was involved in the shooting had been weaponized against the agents. The two people who were shot are married, a senior law enforcement source told CNN. Portland Mayor Keith Wilson linked the Thursday shootings to the killing of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis, the circumstances of which have been disputed by federal and local officials. Wilson said he has spoken to the Minneapolis mayor earlier in the day to offer condolences and called Good's death entirely preventable in a statement Thursday morning. Hours after the mayor spoke, Wilson was similarly casting doubt on Trump's administration's characterization of what took place in Portland. We know what federal government says happened here. There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time has long passed, he said. Wilson called for ICE to halt all operations in Portland until an investigation can take place. Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents, Wilson said. When the administration talks about using full force, we are seeing what it means on our streets. In the wake of Thursday's shooting, demonstrators gathered outside the ICE facility in Portland, the site of tense and colorful protests last year, which I was at, and you can check out on the shorts on this channel. 6 people were arrested during the protest Thursday night, police said. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield announced late Thursday the state will open an investigation into the shooting, saying officials have been clear about our concerns with excessive use of force by federal agents in Portland and nationally. The investigation will look into whether any federal officer acted outside the scope of their lawful authority and will include witness interviews, video evidence, and other relevant material, Rayfield said. On the federal government side, the FBI says it's investigating an assault on 2 CBP agents. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is assisting the FBI, it said. Trump has frequently taken aim at Portland, depicting the liberal city as a crime-ridden war zone and falsely claiming on several occasions that it's burning to the ground. The White House was locked in a months-long battle with the city and state officials over the administration's controversial deployment of the National Guard troops in the city, which was blocked by a federal judge. City officials have argued Trump's incendiary remarks and troop deployments have inflamed violence in the city, which has been rocked by frequent protests over immigration enforcement. Multnomah County, which includes part of Portland, voted Thursday to extend an emergency declaration in response to ISIS's continued presence in the area. County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson said. The declaration was originally issued in December in response to an ongoing impacts from federal immigration enforcement, Vega Peterson said at the time. Multnomah County will not stand by as federal governments attack our neighbors, she said Thursday. Yeah. Huh. That's fun. So, more bullshit in Portland. I wish that this administration would just leave that city alone, because Portland is a beautiful place. It's one of my favorite cities in the whole country, and I travel for my motorcycle job, so I've been to a lot of different cities. And yes, I'm biased because I was born there and I've spent most of my life there, but it's a great place. It's amazing. So if you haven't been, you should absolutely go. Don't believe what the government says about Portland. All right. How are we doing this morning, Tubes? Let me read through the chat a little bit. There's a video of the opposite happening. I know, yeah. And then them telling a doctor he can't go over to the car. They denied care. Holy shit. In the video, they tell her to get out of the way, leave. Then a guy went mental. She got scared. Yeah, I would have. If they were dangerous gang members, they wouldn't have let them drive off 3 miles away from where they were shot. Yeah? The demonizing is backfiring. Good morning, Goldilocks. How are you? All right, everybody. We are rocking and rolling this morning. Let's get into story number 3. How about that? U.S. payroll rose 50,000 in December, less than expected. Unemployment rate is at 4.4%, which isn't low. I think that low is in the like 2 to 3% range. But let's read about this. And because this is a story that's kind of damning and says the opposite of what Donald Trump wants to say, you can see that you've got more left-leaning reporting than right. 17% coming from the right, 46% from the center, and 37% from the left. So that just kind of shows you where the bias is on the story. It's not a blind spot by any means, but definitely more reporting from the center and the left than the right. Again, I have my story pulled by CNN just because it's one of the highest factuality sources where you can get it without a paywall. I could have pulled from CNBC, but I didn't. I pulled from CNN. So very high factuality rating, left-leaning. Let's get into the story. Hiring slowed more than expected in December, marking a sluggish end to what was one of the weakest years in job growth in decades. The U.S. economy added an estimated 50,000 jobs last month, slowing from a downwardly revised 56,000 jobs added in November, according to a Bureau of Labor Statistics data released on Friday. Still, the unemployment rate edged lower from 4.4 to 4.4 from a revised 4.5% in November. Well, how many people are working multiple jobs, I wonder? Economists are, you know what, that's showing my own bias there. Let's just read the story. Economists are expecting a net gain of 55,000 jobs in December and unemployment rate of 4.5%, according to FactSet consensus estimates. With December's estimated job gains, which are subject to revision, the U.S. economy added just 584,000 jobs last year. Outside of recession years, that's the weakest annual job growth seen since 2003, BLS data showed. Well, that's just because they don't tell you when you're in a recession anymore. They don't want people to panic, so... the labor market, which was already slowing heading into 2025, cooled sharply as hiring stalled out across most industries. A pullback economists attributed to a high uncertainty, in part due to massive shifts in trade and immigration policy, as well as stubborn inflation and high interest rates. I'd be willing to bet that AI has something to do with it too, but, that's just me. Practically every industry has been in the throes of a hiring recession. Heather Long, chief economist, Jesus, why can't I talk this morning? Chief economist at Naval Federal Credit Union has said, the lone exception has been healthcare, an industry growing as a result of an aging population, and leisure and hospitality, which has reaped some of the spoils from an increasingly bifurcated economy. Bifurcated? I don't know. That was again indeed the case in December. Leisure and hospitality business saw a net jobs gain of 47,000, while healthcare and social assistance added 38,500 jobs. BLS data showed. Jobs were shed across goods producing businesses, particularly those in manufacturing, as well as retail trade, where seasonal hiring wasn't as flush as it was in the past years. Well, so we can attribute that to probably a few different things. Like I said, AI is going to be taking some of those goods producing and manufacturing jobs, things like that. The business sector is looking to shift there as much as they can and get their production costs and labor costs down. So probably a trend that's going to continue in the future, and we're going to see, healthcare is going to rise because people are getting older, and we don't have robots that can do that yet, but we'll see where it goes. So yeah, anyway. A lot of these articles are AI driven and the grammar does not flow well. I know, it sucks. Like, I got into this too late. Now AI is taking over everything. I could have done this show like a year or two ago and it would have been a lot better. But I mean, I was doing the show a year ago, but if I would have started it like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe it would have been better. Maybe what I need to do is write my own fucking news stories. I don't know. I would need a lot more time if I was going to do that, but all right, let's get into the last story of the day. This was an interesting one. CIA won't confirm records on interstellar comet. What does that mean? On January 5th, 2026, the Central Intelligence Agency replied that it would neither confirm nor deny records about 3I Atlas in response to John Greenwald Jr.'s Freedom of Information Act request, publicized by the Black Vault. Okay, so the CIA is neither confirming or denying that it has records on 3I Atlas. Why? That's so weird. But let's get into the story. I have my sources pulled by factuality, and I think I have futurism, which is number 2 on the factuality list. Leans left, high factuality. Let's get into it and see what's going on here. Ever since it was first spotted hurtling through the solar system, Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb has maintained that there's a chance mysterious interstellar object 3I Atlas is a technological object sent by an extraterrestrial civilization. He's meticulously cataloged what he claims are anomalous qualities of the object, which most of his peers believe is a natural comet from a different star system, from its unusually large suspected size to its rotation axis almost perfectly perpendicular to the sun, to a fine-tuned trajectory that brought it within spitting distance of Mars and Jupiter. Loeb has also been angered at NASA's continued insistence that 3I Atlas is a natural comet, which, again, is the opinion of most experts, accusing them of arrogance and ignoring his documented anomalies. He also accused NASA of withholding observations by its Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter while 3I Atlas made its closest approach to the red planet in October due to last year's government shutdown. The images were eventually released in late November. NASA isn't the government institution that Loeb is taking aim at. In a new blog post, the astronomer pointed out that the ufologist John Greenwald Jr.'s Freedom of Information Act inquiry for any assessments, reports, or communications maintained by the Central Intelligence Agency referencing 3I Atlas has been pointedly shut down. The CIA told Greenwald in a formal response to his Freedom of Information Act request that it will neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of records related to the object, a non-answer that could be interpreted in strikingly different ways. Greenwald is a well-known name in UFO articles. He founded the Black Vault, an enormous archive of millions of pages of government documents he's uncovered via FOIA inquiries, including declassified videos of what the Pentagon describes as an unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Loeb says he's found the answer, and the notable level of secrecy surprising, he's found the answer, and the notable level of secrecy surprising, given NASA's conclusion that 3I Atlas is definitely a comet of natural origin. If this conclusion was clear all along to everyone within the government and academia as NASA officials presented the case, then why would the CIA treat the possible existence of records dealing with a natural comet as sensitive enough to be classified, he asked rhetorically. Loeb suggested the government might have investigated whether 3I Atlas could pose a threat to national security, perhaps over the possibility of a black swan event, which has fascinated the researcher. If scientists do eventually uncover a probe sent to us by an alien civilization, it could pose a major threat to humanity, Loeb has asserted. He has previously hypothesized that the object could be akin to a Trojan horse where a technological object masquerades as a natural comet. Discussions about such a possibility have been hidden from public view in order to prevent panic from taking hold for no good reason, Loeb pondered, especially considering a black swan event is still regarded as highly unlikely. However, this theory proposes that the CIA has everything to hide from the public to begin with. After all, in its statement to Greenwald, it didn't rule out the non-existence of records. Besides, as more data rolls in, Loeb's far-fetched theory that 3i Atlas is a piece of technology continues to be challenged. In other words, what would there even be to hide if the object turns out to be a non-threatening lump of ice? Either way, Loeb isn't ready to call it just yet. He has advocated for taking a closer look once it makes its closest approach to Jupiter in March. Unless we check, we might never know if this swan is white or black, he concluded in his blog. I brought it up on the show multiple times before, but I think that Avi Loeb is really just trying to get as much publicity as he can. It's possible. I mean, it's not impossible what he's saying. He's bringing up, things that people consider to be valid points. But when you have the majority of the scientific community saying, no, this is just a comet, the people who repeatedly say it's aliens, it's aliens, it's aliens, seem to be just yelling for the sake of yelling. I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion about it. But when AI looks after other AIs, self-repairing, we're all done. No jobs will be available for anything, and it might not be far away. It's true. I finally get a break away from work to listen in. Thanks for stopping in, Loner Nick. That was the last article of the day. So, to recap, we talked about the House extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies. It still has to go to the Senate. We talked about Border Patrol agents in Portland shooting 2 people after the Minneapolis shooting of the ICE agents in Minneapolis. We talked about the U.S. payroll seeming to maybe be slowing down according to the Bureau of Labor Market Statistics. And then we talked about the CIA not confirming or denying the existence of 3i Atlas. So I appreciate everybody who has been hanging out with us again. I do want to plug my Patreon. It's patreon.com/nightlyNewsThisMorning. You can become a member for as low as $3 a month and help support the show, make it a little bit better, give me a little bit more time to add to the programming and everything like that. So I appreciate everyone who's tuned in to hang out, watch the news, listen. If you're catching it later, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed and you're watching this, please do. That helps out the channel. If you could give the video a like, that helps out as well. And take care. We will be back on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody. And like I always try to say, spread a little bit of positivity in the world, because you don't know what kind of effect you're having on the people around you. You might come across somebody who's having the worst day of their life, and just by being a little bit kind to them and a little bit nice to them, you might completely turn their whole day around. You might save it. You have the power to change the trajectory of people's lives without even knowing it, which is why it's so important to be as positive as you can. Give people the benefit of the doubt, give them a little bit of credit, and be good to yourself and everybody else around you. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. We will be back on Tuesday morning with another episode of Nightly News This Morning. I've been your host, Cousin Matt, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.